Good day, dental professionals. You're tuned in to the Dental Flow podcast, dentistry's go-to resource for insights into the business side of dentistry. Host Benjamin Suggs navigates you through the currents of the ever-changing dental waters. This podcast is packed with innovative practice growth strategies, insights, and expert advice tailored to help increase the flow of new, profitable patients into dental practices. Listen as Ben explores the latest trends, shares success stories, and uncovers actionable tips to elevate your dental practice to the next level. Get ready to dive deep into the currents of dental business knowledge and experience the dental flow.
Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to the Dental Flow podcast. My name is Benjamin Suggs. I'm going to be hosting today solo, flying solo, as they say. But I'm excited about the topic today because I think it is a very, very important one for dental practices. And it's something we take very seriously here in our dental marketing agency. And the topic today is the 4 roadblocks that prevent new patients from scheduling with your practice and how you can get around them. So let's not stand on ceremony. Let's jump right into the show. Let's set the table. First and foremost, as you guys always ought to know, dentistry is sales. There's no shortage of dentists out there. We have to realize that we are constantly trying to sell ourselves in comparison with our competitors. And it's important to approach your marketing that way. So we have to look at what we offer that is either superior or inferior to our competitors in the marketplace. One of the first things we do when we bring on a new dental client is we go through a process with them to identify what we call their value proposition. Their value proposition is what we define as what's going to set them apart from other dentists out there in that marketplace when new patients are looking for a new dentist to go to. So when we do that, we look at both strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. We want to see what are the strengths that this dentist is bringing to the table compared to others. What are their weaknesses that they're bringing to the table compared to others? And also, what are the opportunities where we could improve their messaging to meet the needs of more people? So when you have someone's attention, you really have to use that time very wisely. So whether it's the 3 seconds of attention you have when someone comes to your website or the 6 minutes of time when they call your practice and they start asking questions to your front desk about your practice, when you have someone's attention, you really have to do everything you can to address whatever their potential objections may be, anything that would stop them from wanting to come to your practice. There's a common term in sales where you're selling a product that you want to have an offense deck and a defense deck. And the offense deck that you go into the sales meeting with is here's all the things that are great about what we're selling that we know they're going to like. The defense deck is here's all the things that they may have questions about, that they may think, I'm not so sure. What about this? What about that? And honestly, it's more important in a sales process when you have someone's attention to go ahead and address the defense deck, address the things that might be in their head that they might be thinking negatively about you, your service, your product, whatever it is you're selling. So in this case, it's better to address head on things that might be perceived as a weakness by a new patient for your practice rather than just not mention it and ignore it and pretend it's like doesn't exist. So the way we do that is over the years, we've just learned what are the 4 most common roadblocks that would prevent a new patient from booking a time in your practice. And then we take that and we say, okay, how can we message in a way that will alleviate these concerns in this person that's viewing your marketing, your website, calling your practice, whatever it is. So let's jump into what those 4 are. And as we go through each one, we're going to talk about specifics and talk about the type of messaging you can use to counteract that roadblock, that fear, that phobia that person has that might be a negative perception for your practice. So let's jump right in. First and foremost, and this is almost always the big one, is cost. Cost, cost, cost. When we're training front desk, we often tell them that, because I've worked with a lot of dentists over the years who they get offended when somebody asks about price. They think, whoa, I'm a medical doctor. Price is not what is not important, but it is important to everybody. And most consumers who are calling a dental practice, they're always going to go right to price and cost as their first question. And it's because they don't know what else to ask. If they need a dental crown, one may cost $500 and one may cost $2,000. Their first question is going to be, well, of course I want the $500 one. It's so much less expensive, but it's our job as a dental practice to let them know why that $500 crown is not the best option for them. It's potentially made in a lab overseas. It's not going to fit right. It's not going to look good. It's not going to stay in there. It's not going to last long. All those reasons have to be explained to a potential patient who doesn't understand dentistry the way you do. So it's important to always remember that it is your job to convince somebody of why these objections are not important. So cost, first and foremost, always insurance. That is the biggest sticky point that we deal with as a dental marketing company with our clients, is if they are fee for service or out of network, is how do we convince people that it's okay to go there? You don't have to go to an in-network doctor with your insurance. So I think it's best to address it head on. When I look at competitive dental websites, when we're launching a client, I can tell right away when they're fee for service. And it's usually because they don't talk about insurance. They just kind of conveniently ignore insurance on their website, hoping that this person will just be like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's not that important. That's not going to happen. Their first question when they call is going to be, what's the deal with insurance? Do you take my insurance? Are you in network with my insurance? What's the deal with that? So it's important not to ignore it, but address it head on. So some of the terminology that we use for a fee for service dentist is things like, hey, we're going to maximize your insurance. We don't just come out and say, hey, we're not in network. We don't say that, but we just use terms that we don't say we're not in network, but we just talk about maximizing their benefits, maximizing their insurance. And in some cases, we do kind of address it more head on, and we will have an explanation on the insurance and payments page of the website as to why we feel being out of network is better for the patient's ultimate care than being in network. That is really up to that doctor and up to your marketing company working with them to decide how head on you want to be with it. But at the very least, you should always say, we accept insurance. We accept your insurance. We maximize your benefits. Never do you want to say, obviously, you're not going to say we don't accept it. Even if you're out of network, you can still accept insurance and use it. You're just not in network. The other big one, price and opportunity cost. So, an important thing to remember is that it's not just the price that we're quoting somebody. Let's go back to that crown example. It's not just the $2,000 crown that we're quoting this person. Every consumer out there, as soon as they're giving a price, they're not just thinking, can I afford that? They're also thinking that what else do I have to give up to afford that? And that's what we call opportunity cost. It's happening in our heads all the time. If it didn't, if I made $10,000 a month after tax and I said, okay, well, I can definitely afford that car that's going to run me $2,000 a month in payments. Of course you could afford it, but what do you have to give up to do that? What else are you going to go without to afford that really expensive car that you want to buy? So always want to talk about, it should be obvious, financing, monthly payments, pay over time. These are phrases that when you use those up front, it immediately puts in someone's head, okay, it's not that I have to outlay that full amount right on the spot, and I won't have that money for the other things that I need. I can actually pay for this over time. Monthly payments, pay over time, financing, make them see, just like they would as if they were going to buy a car, that these things may be expensive, but they can be paid for over time. Overdiagnosis. I can't really think of a better way to say this, but it's an absolute fear that people have, that they're going to go to the dentist for, a pain in their tooth, and they're going to walk out with a $30,000 treatment plan. where the dentist is saying, no, we got to yank that tooth. We got to pull a full set of implant dentures in there. We got to do all this stuff. And people are afraid that they're going to be sold on things that they potentially don't necessarily actually need. It's just more things that they might want. So to avoid that, we use terminology like conservative treatment plans. We only treatment plan the treatment you need. So we're saying right up front, like, we're conservative with our treatment plans. We're not going to take you right from point 0 to 60. Like, hey, we're pulling that tooth and you need a full set of implant dentures for $35,000. We're going to give you your options along the way. Conservative treatment plans. We can do this now and then we can do this later. So make them understand and alleviate that fear that they're going to be sold dentistry they may not need that day. When we talk about services, one of the things you want to avoid is using words like cheap or budget friendly, budget, any of those types of terms, because really all that is telling somebody is that you're a cheap dentist, you're a discount dentist, a cheap dentist, and that's not what we're trying to convey. Affordable is a tricky word. We do use that. Sometimes dentists say, no, I don't want to use the word affordable on my website because it makes me feel cheap. But the reality is the word affordable means different things to different people. For me, affordable might be a top of the line Mercedes might be affordable. I can afford it. So great. I'm going to go get that. For someone else, that might not be affordable. They might look at that and say, oh, well, there's no way I could afford that car. So affordable is specific to each person that's reading it. It's not a blanket term that applies to everybody. Okay. So number 2, the big one, a big roadblock, is convenience. There's a lot of factors here, but convenience is a really big deal that we've been seeing over the last 6 years for consumers. Everybody's busy. Everybody has a million things to do. Going to the dentist is not always going to be their top priority in terms of how they want to spend their time. We know that. Not always the most pleasant place for people, but even just the time it takes to go to the dentist is a huge inconvenience for people. So we need to make sure that people understand that our appointment times are not going to be too long. And let me just give you an example. Over the years, when we've worked with fee-for-service dentists, one of the common things we kept seeing was that for a fee-for-service practice, they would actually have new patients come in 2 different appointments. So they would say, on the phone, they'd say, okay, well, you're going to come in and you're going to have an exam and you're going to meet with the dentist and we're going to talk about your goals and we're going to talk about your life and everything. We're going to interview. And then we're going to schedule a separate appointment where you need to come back and get your cleaning. What we heard on the phones when we were call tracking for those dentists is immediate hangups. Literally, people would hear that and say, I'm sorry, I need to come for 2 different appointments for my first. Okay, click. So that was a big change we were able to make with fee-for-service dentists right away. And I think the reason they were doing that is because they felt because they were out of network, they needed to offer something more premium, like not the hurried in and out PPO practice type of model, but more we take our time, we get to know you, we spend all this time with you. But the reality was just turning people off. So we actually were able to make big gains in a short amount of time with our fee-for-service dentists by just having them eliminate that policy, have them bring in people for 1 appointment. Even if it ended up being 2 hours, at least it was 1 trip to the dentist. And as you guys know, there's always going to be a 3rd trip and a 4th trip because usually people need something done and they're going to have to come back anyway. So I give that examples because literally we heard people, they were losing so much business by breaking 1 appointment into 2 for no real reason. So when we talk about our appointment times, we don't want to make it seem like we're rushing people through. That's not what people want to hear. They don't want to get the impression that when they come, we're in a big hurry to get them in, get them out, like, flip the chairs, that whole kind of thing. So one of the terms that we often use is our appointments are efficient, but not rushed. We will get you in and out efficiently, but you'll never feel rushed when you come. You'll always feel heard. You'll never feel rushed. So it makes people feel warm and fuzzy that they're not going to waste time at your practice, but they're also not going to feel like you don't care. You're just trying to get them in and out of there and flip the chair. Wait time in your reception area is another big one. One easy way to counteract this is Never call it a waiting room. Always call it a reception area. If you call it a waiting room, you're immediately implying they're going to be waiting. People don't like that. But secondly, if you have beverages, if you have free waters, coffee, all that stuff, Wi-Fi, mention that. Mention that, there's an experience here that being in this reception area is not the worst thing because we have free beverages and we have things that you can, do to relax yourself and enjoy your minimal, hopefully, time that you're sitting there. Return visits, another huge thing. When we see 1-star reviews for practices that we work with, a big common theme is I went there, I got the work done, and then I had some issues. I had to go back, and then I had to go back again. I had to go back. So assuming that your practice is good at getting it right the first time, which I hope most are, there's always going to be exceptions. We know that, but we should talk about that. Like, hey, we'll do it right the first time. We'll get it done right the first time. We'll do it methodically. We'll do it patience. You won't be rushed. So that way you alleviate this fear of I'm going to have to go back again and again. Parking is a huge one. I have left a dentist in my past because their parking was so bad. They were in a medical building. I had to go park in a lot that was under a different building and cross over, take 2 elevators, and finally get to their office. That was not at all convenient. If you're a specialist, I think that's fine. But if you're a general dentist and people are coming in and out of your office all day, hopefully you have convenience in how they get in and out. Hopefully they're not being charged for the parking. Hopefully it's free. So whatever you have, really talk about it. And I live in Atlanta, Georgia. This is a big deal in Atlanta, Georgia. Parking is a huge deal that people will choose a place to go based on their parking situation. 100%. So think about things like that. Free parking in our private lot. If you're in Arizona, free parking in a covered lot. Make sure you highlight the convenience of the parking, arriving, getting in, getting out. Second is location. If you are near a major artery, a highway, an interstate, a big road that everybody knows, talk about that. Make sure that people know that it's easy to get to your practice because they can hop on this road, that highway, whatever it is, and they'll be there. Highlight those things as much as you can as strengths. If you are tucked away and it's not easy to get to your practice, then you got to think of another way to pose it. Quiet, off the roads, free parking, whatever it is, do the best you can. Traffic, another big thing. I have clients that are in locations where at 5 p.m., they are not going to get people there on time. People trying to get to their office at 5 p.m. are going to be late. People trying to get to their office at 4:30 are going to be late. So a lot of what those guys will do is have alternative hours. They'll say, hey, we have appointments before work. We have appointments after work. We have appointments after school. These are things when people read that, they think, oh, good, convenience. So I don't have to be stuck in traffic. I don't have to miss work. I can come after hours. And I will tell you that our clients that just have one day where they open up and they're open from, say, 5 to 7 on a Thursday night or a Tuesday night or whatever it is, they will tell me that time period is the one that's booked out months and months in advance because so many people want to come see the dentist after work, after traffic, so they're not stuck wasting their time. That's a huge thing. We don't want people to think that their time is going to be wasted when they come to your practice. Awesome. Okay. The third big roadblock, and this is one of the things that people have been talking about for years, but it's pain and discomfort. These are the dental phobias, the drills, the shots, the pulling. This is something that people inherently have fear about. Will it be painful? Will I not enjoy it? Will I be uncomfortable the whole time? So we want to talk about things that address these. So one of the biggest things that's not so obvious when it comes to pain and discomfort is purely just a loss of control. Think about people going about their day. They're in control of everything that's happening to them. They're in control of where they eat lunch. They're in control of which direction they go to work. They're in control of what the first task is when they sit down at work. They're in control of whether or not they take their kid to the park that day. They are the ones controlling everything about their day, scheduling it, everything. But then they come to your office and they don't feel like they have that control. They get there. When they're called back, they go sit in a chair. And at that point, they're giving up control. They're saying, hey, whatever, you're in charge, doc. Tell me what's going on. So a lot of people don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like going to a place and not knowing what's going to happen. So really think about that as you do your messaging. Think about how you can talk about how you're going to guide them through the whole process. There's not going to be any surprises. You're going to tell them, all right, here's what we're going to do next. We're going to sit you down. We're going to take x-rays. We're going to do this. If people feel like you are their trusted guide through that process, they're going to be more likely to want to choose your practice. Highlight on your website what happens in that first appointment so that they can read it for themselves and say, oh, look at, okay, so I'm going to show up, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Boom. Got it. Now I feel so much more comfortable. I have so much less anxiety about going there. They're going to feel much better about it. Another thing you can do is highlight the process. So that's something that your dental assistant and your dental hygienist should be doing throughout the whole thing. It could be a video where you have a hygienist say, hey, here's what we're going to do when we clean your teeth when you come in. Sometimes our clients will send those videos in a welcome email to the new patient. Sometimes they will put it on their website so that person can actually see that, okay, this is the hygienist. Her name is his name, whatever it is. And they're the ones that are going to walk me through this process. Just make people feel more comfortable before they even show up. And they will be much, much likely to do what you want them to do, accept treatment, all that stuff. Discomfort, another big one. Nobody likes to be told to sit in a chair and sit there like we're children. We were in grade school. That's what happened. Sit down and don't move. Stay in that chair for the next 45 minutes. Nobody likes that. So the more comfortable we can make them, the more comfortable they will think they will be, the less fear they will have about coming to your practice. So talk about pillows, blankets, comfortable chairs. That's an easy one. Almost all dental chairs are very comfortable. So talk about that. Even though we know that that's not the biggest differentiator, but they don't. So yeah, say it like, hey, we have these amazing comfortable chairs. It's like laying on a pillow. You're going to be so comfortable during your appointment. You're going to love it. That's going to make them feel much, much better about coming in. Shots, drills, pulling, all that stuff that happens when you're in their mouth. These are things that people don't like. People don't like being told to open their mouth and have people stick their fingers in there. It's just a fact. So use words like gentle touch. We have a gentle touch. We are always gentle in our treatment. We always treat you gently. We let you know ahead of time what we're getting ready to do. We don't just stick our fingers in your mouth. But gentle is a very, very powerful word in dental marketing. We see it all the time. When we run ads and we use that tagline, gentle, whatever, people click on it a lot. It's something that a lot of people want to know they're going to get when they come to the dentist is gentle treatment. That goes for hygienists as well. Another huge complaint about dental practice, as we see it in bad reviews, is people say, well, I really like the place. I really like the dentist, but man, that hygienist was so rough with me. My gums hurt afterwards. She was so rough. So talk about how your hygienists give the most gentle cleanings in town. They've been trained to be extra gentle in their cleanings for their patients. Gentle, 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 great words to use when you are talking about your treatment, your cleanings, all that stuff. Okay. The last big roadblock that we see is judgment. Not one that I think a lot of people think about, but this is me 100%. I am one of those people, even though for a living, I do dental marketing and work with dentists every day, that when I go to my dentist, if for whatever reason I couldn't do the appointment, I had to reschedule. And now that 6 months has gone to like 9 months. And then the 9 months has gone to 1 year. All of a sudden I feel the shame. I feel shame about, I can't believe I do what I do and I haven't been to the dentist in a year. And what does it do? Does it make me more motivated to schedule the appointment as soon as possible? Or does it demotivate me? And that's, I think, what happens to a lot of people is they get demotivated because they feel like they're going to be judged for not having been to the dentist in a year, 5 years, 10 years. I mean, who knows? We hear this stuff all the time where people are like sheepishly on the phone in an appointment. When they're scheduling the appointment, will say like, oh yeah, I know it's been like 5 years since I've been to the dentist. And what we cannot stand is when the person taking the call says something like, whoa, oh, that's not good. We don't want to make persons feel bad before they even get there. What we want them to feel is that they have this judgment-free zone that they're walking into. And we'll often on our website say that on every page. On every page of the website, we'll have something at the top that says, has it been a while since your last dental appointment? No worries. There's no judgment here. Schedule your appointment. So we're trying to say to that person out there, like, hey, don't worry. It's all good. We're not going to judge you. We're going to bring you in. We're going to make you comfortable. We're going to take care of what your needs are. You don't have to worry about that. So again, may not seem like a big one, but it is a big one. People do not want to be judged, to feel judged. We feel judged every day of our life by life itself. You know, when I walk out of the house in the morning and people look at what I'm wearing, I feel like I'm being judged. So they don't want to go to the dental office and feel that too. So please, I hope that your practice is not shaming people for their lack of dental visits. We should be embracing those people, not shaming them. And the best part about those people is they're not always people who just couldn't afford to go to the dentist. They're just people who got busy a lot of the time. They got busy, they didn't go, they feel terrible about it. But when we get them in there, they're often the people that are going to be the most profitable for your practice because 2 reasons. One, they often have work that needs to be done. They have not been taking the best care of their teeth. They have things that need to happen. But secondly, if we can sell them on this pleasant, judgment-free experience, then they're much more likely to come back again. So make sure you are welcoming and embracing these people any way you can through your messaging, but also the way you treat them when they walk in that front door. Make them feel good because these people will be great patients for you in the future. All right. So we've gone through the 4 big roadblocks and we talked about messaging you can use to counteract those roadblocks and get around them. But one more thing I want to leave you with is we talked about a lot of stuff and you can't communicate all of that in one page of a website. I'm just going to be honest. And what you cannot do is go to your website after you listen to this and say, oh, okay, I'm going to write 6 paragraphs addressing all of these things and explaining why people don't need to worry about it here. We need to be on your marketing incredibly concise, incredibly simplified in our messaging, incredibly clear without being too wordy. We need to get to the most important points the fastest. So we talked earlier about the good deck, the bad deck, the positive and the negative deck. So we need to have a good blend there. I think the positives, people will find that on their own. But think about what are the biggest objections for you specifically and try to hit those head on with your messaging in your marketing. If you hit those head on, the other little smaller ones will fall in. You don't have to worry about every one of them. So you definitely want to make sure concise, simplified messaging. I think I mentioned it before, but when someone comes to your website, you've got about 3 seconds of their attention to grab them. Literally 3 seconds of perusing your website to decide whether they want to continue going through your website or they're not interested and they want to go back. So the faster you can address these things, whether it's through a tagline or specific messaging for each one, the better. Often it's better to have a very quick message at the top of the website that kind of says overall how you deal with people and they deal with these roadblocks. And then once they've decided to continue, you can have more specifics about, hey, don't worry about payment. We have financing. Don't worry about this. Generally in marketing, you got to emotionally grab them first, and then they'll rationalize that decision by reading through the rest of your specific points. So think about that. I would ask you guys all to sit down, think about those 4 fears, those 4 roadblocks. So cost, convenience, pain and discomfort, and judgment. And think about how you stack up for those 4 and how you can proactively address those on your marketing to get more people to pick up the phone and call your practice. But also remember, concise, simplified messaging. It's got to be concise. Thank you guys so much. I hope this was useful for you. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, it's very important to us in our process when we work with new dental clients. Feel free to schedule a strategy session with us if you want more information. you can go to our website and just book a strategy call, and we will do that with you. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for this Dental Flow podcast episode. If you enjoyed today's discussion and wish to stay updated on future episodes, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast with colleagues and friends. For more insights and discussions on dental marketing, we encourage you to continue riding the Dental Flow wave and tune into the next episode. Keep on smiling, learning, and flowing with the Dental Flow podcast.